Why do most people obey even when they know something is wrong? Why do they stay silent when they should speak? Why do they follow orders that strip them of freedom, dignity, even humanity? The answer is not weakness, it's psychology. It's the hidden machinery of obedience. And unless you see it, you will be ruled by it.
Control doesn't always look like chains. Sometimes it looks like compliance.
For centuries, leaders have understood a truth. People crave belonging more than they crave freedom. When the group moves, the individual follows. When authority commands, the majority submits. Why? Because disobedience is costly. Standing out feels dangerous. Questioning power makes you a target, and so people tell themselves it's safer to obey, but it goes deeper. Psychologists proved this. In the 1960s, the milgram experiment shocked the world, literally. Volunteers were told to deliver electric shocks to strangers at the command of a man in a white lab coat. Most people did it. Even when the stranger screamed in pain, they pressed the button. Why? Not because they were evil, but because authority told them to. The need to obey outweighed the urge to resist.
Control doesn't always look like chains. Sometimes it looks like compliance. Obedience feels safe. Resistance feels dangerous. And that illusion keeps people controlled.
In today's world, the shock box has become your screen. Authority is no longer a lab coat. It's the algorithm. It's the news anchor. It's the leader's voice booming from a podium. And the mechanism is the same. Repeat the message. Isolate dissent. Reward compliance. Punish resistance. The more you obey, the easier it feels. The more you resist, the harder it becomes. So why do most people stay controlled? Because control is comfortable. Because disobedience requires courage. Because obedience offers belonging, while rebellion risks exile. And humans fear exile more than they fear chains. But here's the truth. Obedience may feel safe, but it slowly kills your sovereignty. It chips away at your ability to think freely, to question, to stand tall. You trade your power for comfort, and in the process, you become a servant to the very forces that keep you small. Marcus Aurelius warned himself, "It is the truth that sets you free, not the approval of others." The Stoics knew the pull of conformity was dangerous. They believed freedom was not found in following orders, but in mastering your own judgment. And that's the step most people never take.
So ask yourself, when was the last time you obeyed not because you believed, but because you feared the cost of resistance? When was the last time you stayed quiet, not because you agreed, but because you didn't want to stand alone? That silence is how control survives. So ask yourself, when was the last time you obeyed not because you believed, but because you feared the cost of resistance? When was the last time you stayed quiet, not because you agreed, but because you didn't want to stand alone? That silence is how control survives.
But there is another path. The psychology of obedience can be broken. The same way it's learned, it can be unlearned. How? By practicing awareness. By catching yourself in the act of compliance and asking, is this my truth, or just my fear of standing out? By building the discipline to think, not react. By finding the courage to walk alone when the group walks blindly.
Most will stay controlled. A few will step free. Which will you be?
This is the mindset shift. You are not here to blend in. You are not here to obey for the sake of comfort. You are here to live sovereign, awake, aware. And that path begins with small acts of disobedience. Refusing to click the bait, refusing to spread the outrage, refusing to follow the crowd into anger, fear, division. Because obedience is contagious, but so is courage. When one person stands, others see it's possible. When one person refuses, others find their voice. That is how control breaks, not all at once, but through ripples of resistance. So why do most people stay controlled? Because they never question obedience. Why do a few break free? Because they learn that the price of obedience is far higher than the price of resistance. The system profits when you obey. The merchants thrive when you comply. But freedom begins when you reclaim your mind, even if it costs you comfort, even if it makes you stand alone. And here's the paradox. Once you take that step, you realize you were never alone. Others were waiting for someone to show them it could be done. That is the psychology of obedience. That is why most people stay controlled. And that is why you must not. Subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell for the next episode. Thanks for being here with the Stoic Quotient, where ancient strength meets modern life.